People above 30, what's your biggest regret? Time wasted on things/people, but also learned that there's no point in regretting things in life, as it will just eat you up. You can't change what's happened in the past, so what's the point? So true. Acceptance really is the only way forward. Lessons over regrets any day. Very true. I believe everything that happens or every person that has an impact in your life is there for a reason/lesson, negative or positive. Regrets should just be for a fleeting second so you can improve yourself. If you went back in time to your young adulthood, knowing only what you did back then, you'd do the exact same thing again. Well, regret is a natural emotion that is supposed to teach us. It's normal to regret, and regret leads to change. Once you've completed that change, then you don't regret anymore. Instead, you become appreciative of that regret, because it ended up helping you. Letting toxic people stay in my life for too long, I've now kicked them out of my life, but wish I did it years ago. I think to piggyback a bit, but to take this a little different. When you're young, toxic people or not, you hold on to people's opinions of you at every whim. By 30 I realized I'm not for everybody, and everybody's not for me. And that's okay. The old saying comes to mind, be who you are, and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. My fave adage, you may be the sweetest peach, but not everyone likes peaches. I didn't go do a lot of fun things because none of my friends could go with me. I missed out on concerts, conventions, festivals, museums, and travel, all because I felt like I couldn't have fun unless I had a buddy. Now my friends have the money and time for adventures, but we're old and we get tired/sore too fast. I'm an independent person, and I wish I had just been brave enough to go it alone. I remember seeing a friend come back from the movies she'd gone to all by herself. I was like, people can do that? It was like a gift given to me, and after seeing that, I did it all the time and it was so freeing. This was a big thing for me because I was in a new city and worked so often it was hard to find time to do anything with the few people I did know. Anyhow, whenever people asked if I was alone, at the movies or a bar, I would say yes, and tell them how freeing it was. I've been to a concert by myself before. It's nice because you know you already have stuff in common with the people there since you are seeing the same band, and it's not like you talk during the show anyways. Coloring instead of buying a home when I was 4. I'm still coloring at the age of 20 mainly due to my little baby cousins, but still. They had crayons and coloring pads at restaurants once. Yeah. Whenever my grandparents gave me money I should have bought some bitcoins when it's cheap. Less people pleasing. More focus on self and finances. This one is honestly my biggest one too. I wish I was more comfortable with being me and not always trying to give everyone what they always wanted from me. Thinking I'd never be 30. WTF this. Regardless of what anyone says about brain development, there is indeed a sense of living in a perpetual present when you're in your late teens to early 20s that completely shifts at some point once you realize time is going faster than it's ever gone before. In youth we feel invincible to time. To me, adulthood is a process of realizing we're not. We tend to think about the future once it's too late. Hospice nurse, I get really nervous when people justify not planning by insisting they won't live until X age. Even if it's literally $5 a paycheck, put some stuff away for later. Not starting a retirement plan as soon as I was out of college. Compound interest is a powerful thing, but you gotta start it as early as possible. Same. I wasn't taught financial literacy, and even though I've always been responsible with savings and money management, I've lost so much potential earnings over 2 decades. My parents didn't teach me, and public schools obviously don't provide the education either. Now at 40, I've learned a lot about investing strategies and now have $100K in my 401k. Any divine knowledge on investing for young adults? Just start with the r/personal finance wiki. Basically pay off all your debt, accrue a 6-month emergency fund, match your company 401k match, then max your Roth IRA every year, $7,000 limit. Continue to put into your 401k to max, then brokerage. But make sure you live life too. When you're young, try and save, but especially go travel and date. This is solid advice, but I think it is not realistic for many people to both save a 6-month emergency fund and do any of the other things that you mention. Most people are trying to juggle what little scraps they have between squeezing some enjoyment out of life and trying to simply have a roof over their head and food on the plate. I don't have the answers, but the advice people need is how to best approach to handling their monthly financial triage. Yeah. I see a lot of privilege in these comments. I'm 35 and we only just recently got to a spot where we are decently financially stable, while paying $2,000 a month for childcare. Once my son starts kindergarten and we have that extra cash we will be investing it, but besides trying to max matched 401k we don't have too much wiggle room while paying bills and putting a bit away for savings. Seeing people be like, it's not that hard to live within your means and max your investments really gives off the vibe of not knowing what any struggle is like. What's worse is going through those years knowing what I was missing out on in the future, but no way in hell I was affording putting money away during that period of life. Same. I know I'm losing out, but I'm way too broke to invest anything. Dimming my light for someone who never ever deserved it. And staying far too long. Trust your gut. Drinking so much in my 20s and 30s. I wish I could have just been more moderate and carefree instead of relying on alcohol to feel liberated from my anxiety. Don't be hard on yourself. You needed it then and do not now. Congratulations.
Partay. Yeah.
This is basically my mentality at nearly 40. I've probably spent gazillions on booze over the years, but don't really regret it. I just keep it sensible, except on rare occasions, now and occasionally look back and cringe/chuckle. I drank that entire decade away, rehabbed and got sober at 30, playing catch up at 32. I wasted so much of my life. 32 is barely getting started. You have plenty of time. You got this. You're 2 years ahead of me. Sober almost 100 days. Wish I focused more on myself instead of people that don't really matter anymore. Absolutely. Wish I had truly understood self-respect, self-care, self-love, rather than pouring it messily into people that didn't appreciate or deserve it. Taking my health for granted. As a 20-year-old, you scare me saying that. Preserve your back, your ears, and your eyes. Don't lift heavy loads without good lifting position. Wear ear protections when you go to concerts. Wear rest glasses while looking at screens. Do that in your 20s and 30s, and you should avoid pain/complications in your 50s, and more. And don't forget to wear sunscreen lotion bottle every possible chance. You should be scared. Take it from this mid-60s lady. Start taking care of your body. Good. I ignored my teeth and flossing quite a bit when I was younger due to depressive episodes. It all came back against me at once. In a short time I had multiple cavities and even 1 or 2 root canals. Quite pricey to fix up. Same. At 33, I now have 3 autoimmune diseases. Endometriosis, removed gallbladder, and survived a ruptured ectopic pregnancy. I'm tired, boss. I wish I traveled more in my 20s when I was healthy. Now when I take my kid to Disneyland, I'll have to rent a wheelchair. Not learning to set boundaries with people in my life. Almost every relationship I have, whether family or social or work related, I'm constantly giving and now expected to give. Rarely anything in return. It's scary how people react when you start to put up boundaries. All that time you spent giving and you can't get 1% of it in return. Even when you let people down kindly, you get vitriol. My wife spent years taking care of her dad, a sociopath and a drinker. He would constantly manipulate by playing on her conscience, expecting her to be there no matter the time of day or whatever else she was doing. It took her so many years to realize how much he was destroying her well-being, that he didn't care about her at all as long as he got what he wanted/needed. It was just so deeply ingrained in her that family comes first, that family is something you have to have in your life no matter what. She's in a so much healthier place now. I get this. Been there myself. I spent a lot of time in therapy working on boundary setting and listened to a lot of podcasts. I now feel a lot better about boundary setting. I have actually lost relationships because I've told people that I need privacy, etc. It hurt, but I'd rather lose the relationship than myself. I've also come to see that if someone lets me go, it's a divine blessing. Letting childhood problems make me miss out on most of what makes you want to be alive. This hits a bit too hard. I just realized I'm 44 and pretty content with how things turned out for me. No one is gonna wanna hear that shit here. Love this for you 2 hearts. I do. I guess I wish I would have become good at studying at an earlier age. But I just can't have regrets because the mistakes I made were what made me who I am today. Of course I didn't know what to do in certain situations in life. I was young, not beginning my investment journey in my early 20s, not seeking professional mental health earlier, not seeing all the sexual opportunities that came my way, not getting started on my university degree earlier, not started Brazilian jiu-jitsu practice earlier. It snowed, and I went to work instead of staying home and playing with my child. It never snowed again before she was an adult. That's a beautiful regret. Not choosing right friends carefully. I am 40F. I got married at 26 and I wish I'd waited until I was 35. Funny how life works. I'm 35 and regret ending a relationship that turns out would have been the best for me. At 25. At 25 you were probably a different person. No way of knowing how it would have turned out. There's plenty of unhappy married folks who married their one. My mother always told me not to get married before I'm 30. I'm almost 30 now and I totally get it. A lot of my friends married the first person they seriously dated in high school or college, an environment not representative of the real world and one you enter before you even know who you are. I'm thankful I didn't take that path and just moved across the country instead. Lost time. No Scrubs. It's on DVD now, you've plenty of time to catch up. I see how it is. 20s. Lots of wrong decisions. Learning that I know it is a complete sentence. Not having children. I did want them, she didn't. Accepting life as a cool uncle now though. Robert De Niro still at it at 82. I regret not being born rich. Staying home and playing games online in my 20s. All that time lost. I should have been out exploring the world and meeting new people. Same. Basically lost all years between 14 to 23 to MMOs, and now I have no social network and no friends from that era, which turns out is the foundation the rest of your life. Wish I didn't smoke weed. I was literally high for my entire 20s and regret that now. I'm 35 and no longer smoke, and my mind is clearer and I have less anxiety. Quitting gym after a year around 18 years old. I returned at almost 29. I'm 31 now. Bruh, imagine how jacked and strong I would have become if I didn't quit. You could say this at 41 if you quit now, so all the more reason to stay the course now. Using too much time online. Letting people downplay my potential. They told me I couldn't do it for not being smart enough, dedicated enough, talented enough, and believed them. Fuck what people say, do what you want without thinking about it, because at the end, they just say these because of their own insecurities. Not having enough sex. Same. People talk about regretting letting a toxic relationship last too long, or ending a relationship early. I regret not having one at all. Not putting enough effort into finding a career/lifestyle I actually like, and subsequently being locked into a career, because of loan debt, that I hate. Trying to figure out what you want to spend your time doing is difficult, and exploration is scary. But you will regret not forcing yourself to do it in your 20s when everything is still possible. Not taking college as seriously as I could have. All things money, budgeting earlier, saving, retirement, investing, all of it. We didn't make any huge mistakes, but we also didn't take it seriously enough, so we feel behind. Not taking more chances. I tended to do what was comfortable. I should have gone away to college. I should have taken that job out of state. Not focusing on finding love in my 20s. I took that let it come to you approach, and absolutely nothing came. When I started being intentional, I started meeting strong contenders. The fact of the matter is, there are more eligible contenders in 20s than 30s, so although yes, I do meet contenders now, not at the volume of my 20s. Being too considerate of others. Caring with others. Think. Just be yourself and screw the rest of it. Not buying bitcoins in 2008. No regrets. Wasted 5 years with a job that the boss kept saying it would get better. Lesson: never feel married to your job. Don't feel bad for leaving either. Not going to therapy sooner. Not caring about my health and finances earlier. Being 32 and starting is a lot harder than when you are younger. I would probably be in a much better place in life if I listened to people telling me to save money. Wasting my education. I coasted through high school, never doing homework. Barely made it through college, nearly dropping out, and have a useless degree and a bad GPA. I was more interested in girls and video games. I'm doing well now, but I had to go to a very expensive trade school, and I am still in debt even though I graduated college 13 years ago. I wish I had delayed college till I was motivated or really nailed down a career path before going. I just went because all my friends were gone, and so I felt I should follow. Absolutely no regrets. 38. 6 years sober from alcohol, abstinent from sex. Never been more mentally stable and content. Just got a dog. She's almost 6 months and she's so cute, and 7 pounds. I do not regret being an alcoholic or living up my 20s in the gay bars. It made me who I am today. Now discipline is a big part of my life. And the little things. Waiting to start trying for children. I will never not regret that choice. Not looking after my teeth when I was younger. 34 now, and it's biting, no pun intended, me in the ass now. Not using sunscreen enough when I was younger. Melanoma is no joke. Maintained friendships better. Not choosing a career path and sticking to it. Never really knew what I wanted to. And still don't really. But if I'd spent all that time sticking to one thing, I know I could have gone far-ish. Not having kids before I had cancer. Not educating my father about the internet better. He let a romance scammer take him to the cleaners. I've been dealing with that throughout the latter half of my 20s, and now into my early 30s. I also wish I had taken better care of my body growing up. I'm a big guy, and my knees are killing me whenever I work out. The journey to get in shape is that much harder now because I never put the work in back when I was younger. Wasting my time and emotions on toxic people and non-reciprocal relationships, both romantic and platonic. I'm so damaged that I sometimes wonder where I would be if I had been more discerning with who I offer my energy to. At 43, I feel like a lost cause and damaged goods. Trusting other people. I had my first child when I was 32. Now I'm turning 40 and we have two. I wish we had three, but we're too old. So having our first child with 29 or 30 would have been great, but we were simply not in the right place back then. Also, taking more risk in the stock market. No partner, going to loads of weddings. Waste of my fucking time and money. Never getting any qualifications. Not taking advantage of my youth. I missed women being into me due to it. I've lived a full life, but I've probably missed some good people. Later on, prioritizing work and all over life. Wish I was more focused on what I wanted to do with my life. Not learning to drive when I could afford it. Have a ton of skills I could earn extra money with if I could drive or could afford to travel for better paid employment. Even if like me you hate cars, learn, it's a game changer. Underestimating the amount of money I could have saved while living at home. I liked to party. Don't regret it as I met my wife, but maybe balance is the better word. Be advised if your oldest friend or friend since I was a baby treats you like crap. They're not your friend, they're using you to feel good about themselves. Falling into a relationship that never really worked and not getting out of it when I had the chance. Waiting so long to ask my wife to marry me and start a family. She is a great mother and we only had one child. Wish we were able to have more. Not realizing that some family members can be toxic and manipulative. Not everyone is on your side. Not relying on my own instincts and listening to other people's opinions/advices too much. I gave too many shits about other people's opinions of me for way too long. None of that matters, and you get way more comfortable in your own skin the older you get. Changing jobs too frequently and turning down too many opportunities. I pretty much destroyed my own career. Getting fat. I didn't go see Tom Waits when he toured in 2012. I regret it too. Not getting a degree 5 to 6 years sooner, which led me to a streak of crappy jobs. I haven't had sex. Not taking more risks or having more experiences. I just honed in on work and the next tangible a goal that was preset by society, family, etc. Not taking better care of my body. I'm in my mid-60s and my body is paying me back for all the neglect and abuse. People pleasing for so long, it takes a toll. No regrets really. All my bad decisions and problems and stupid things I did led me to be the person I am today. Maybe just one, spending money and not saving more when I was younger. Spending 10 years in active addiction. 6 months clean and sober now and my life is improving at a steady pace. Not doing my best when I was in a good college. I failed in this good college and had to transfer to a shitty one. Now I have a degree in a shitty college and I regret not doing the bare minimum effort in the good one. Not moving out of the United States. Worked my early 20s away, 12 to 14 hours a day, without ever letting myself have any fun. Late 20s were spent pulling myself out of depression. Feel like I never got to enjoy my youth. Not taking chances when it came to dating. Turns out several of the people I was interested in felt the same way. I was just too chicken shit to do anything. And too dense to pick up on flirting. I mean, feeling like I had to get married, had to have children or I'd break my parents' hearts. I ended up in a deeply abusive marriage that cost me a pregnancy, and after I spent time in therapy I realized I rushed into marriage with anyone because I kept feeling like I was running out of time. I'm now in a 14-year-long relationship with the most amazing man, and while we may get married there's no pressure to. I don't feel like I missed out on kids because I love my lifestyle and the world is shit and I think it would have broken my heart to leave my child here after I'm gone. The point is, do what feels right to you for your life. Always. Overthinking my lack of dating experience. I literally created a subreddit because of my biggest mistake back in 2006. Go to r/regret joining and read my story. Having kids. I'm so afraid of the future for them. Anti-intellectualism. No privacy, AI. But let's blame the immigrants. That I didn't go back to school sooner. I had 10 grand in 1997. There are a number of companies I could have bought stock in and be retired by now. Where to start? Smoking pot all the way through my 20s. My profession. All the decisions I've made during my career to this point. Giving up playing guitar and never fully committing to it. Those are the first ones that come to mind. TBH, I'm not doing all that great mentally. On paper I should be. I have a loving partner, a stable home. But I'm just unhappy. Not putting in more effort at school. Generally nothing. Even if you didn't do everything perfect, if the net sum is good you'll have no regrets. You want some good advice? Don't listen to people with regrets. Not starting sooner. Not learning a trade skill. Dating my first partner when she was my first partner. She was wonderful, and if she had been a subsequent partner it could have lasted forever. But there were some things I needed to learn through my relationship with and then break up with her that made me a less good partner, not worthy of her. I'm very happy now in a long-term relationship for over 10 years. If I got the chance to go back to my first partner, I wouldn't. But in quiet moments I sometimes wonder what could have been had I not been 17. Not getting myself ready to live in the real world when I was in high school. It took me a while, but I eventually went back to school and got myself a good job. I could have been preparing to go to college and live in the real world in high school instead of sitting around with my thumb up my ass. I was waiting until marriage to have sex, but holy hell, I regret not taking all those opportunities. I have a respectable body count now, but I wish I had more fun when I was younger. I think religion's telling people to wait until marriage screws them in so many ways. Not learning healthy boundaries with families sooner. It's much harder to try to start implementing boundaries when your parents start having aging needs. You constantly feel like you are having to choose what's best for them or what's best for yourself. Wasting time on toxic people. I'd have been so much happier if I never met them. Spending time worrying about what the wrong people think. Buying anything on credit. Living within your means is the best way to hold on to any freedom you have as an individual. Letting the things in my childhood that happened to me shape my future. Instead of saying fuck my depression in high school and going on to getting the full ride I was supposed to, I stopped trying and my life has been fucked ever since. Not learning about investing and compound interest in my 20s. I'm of the opinion that everything in our lives is necessary on our path. There are no exceptions to this philosophy. So why would I regret anything at all? It's silly and pointless. Holding on to the past creates and perpetuates disease in your mind and body. Having a regret is a disease of the mind. Painful experiences lead to learning and growth. Without them we don't evolve. Regrets are for people who haven't fully accepted life. It's all necessary. Letting go is the path. Holding on, aka regretting things, that's for people who haven't come to understand the necessity of the trials and tribulations of their own unique and wild game of life. Sometimes we have to repeat lessons many times to learn what we need to learn. But there are no mistakes. If there are truly no mistakes, then there are no regrets. And then you evolve. With the wisdom you have acquired along the way. Don't compare yourself to other people. And let go of the past with this understanding of necessity/meaningfulness. Everyone has a unique set of challenges to experience and grow through. Wisdom is the result of learning through our choices and experiences on the path. All the best, Reddit people. Having a regret is truly a disease of the mind. It's the byproduct of holding on to pain without learning and understanding it. Remember this. Letting my Pokemon cards get thrown out. For those that don't know, they're worth an insane amount now. Wasting time. Wish I never got married. Am I the only one here who enjoyed their 20s? JFC this thread. Would my life have been better if I bought a house at 21? Sure, but I was working minimum wage. How TF was that gonna happen?
Nah.
I made a lot of mistakes in my 20s and had a lot of fun. I don't really regret them because it got me to where I am now. I don't wish I was born 35 years old like some of these comments. I only wish I'd known who I needed to spend more time with then because I didn't have as much of it left with them as I thought. TBH, I don't even regret the bad relationships. I'd have done them differently in hindsight, but I don't feel a need to go back and change them. All the regrets I have are not really something I could have done differently, so I'm not all that regretful. I do regret being diagnosed with ADHD so late in life. Can't not wonder where I'd been by now. But again, not my fault. I am always anxious about the future though. Gaining weight. I put on about 40 after COVID broke out and my wife got pregnant because I didn't make time for anything, and now it's hard to break habits when your body has a new set point. Should have fought harder to stay in the UK after my master's degree. My life would be very different now. Not settling down with partner/s, although I have many options. Always thought someone better will come along. I prioritized work over love, allowing how men felt about me to be the measure for my self-worth from my teens to my mid-20s. Not addressing my mental health issues in my 20s. Turns out they don't go away. They just quietly grow bigger. Having too much empathy. Turning 30. Giving up on chronic conditions and assuming it couldn't get better. Managed to get them way more manageable when I focused on it. Drinking way too much last night again. Being a Cub Scout. Not seeing Prince and Tom Petty live when I had the chance. Not investing in my 401k over the years. Not deciding where I want my career to go and letting my companies decide for me. Smoking/vaping. So stupid. Not investing more into retirement savings. I can't really think of anything I would or could do differently. I just regret that I wasn't good enough for anyone I wanted. Honestly, no regrets. I've always followed my dreams and goals. Traveled and lived all over the world, met incredible people, and had my heart filled with love. Soon I'll be moving abroad again, following another lifelong dream I've had. I'm very grateful that I've done everything I have so far. As we get older we do get more tired, our priorities change. Things that used to be exciting don't excite us as much anymore as we gain life experiences. I'm so happy I got to experience everything I did when I was younger. It would have been a great loss to me today if I wouldn't have. I have friends who never left our hometown, had children quite early, and many of them now tell me how sad they are that they didn't experience life more in their 20s. Short answer, do everything you dream of now. Because as you get older you change. You will realize one day that you are too old for a dream, because you won't experience it the way you would have when you were younger. You will either mourn the dreams you didn't grab when you had the chance, or you will reminisce the ones you did and it will fuel new dreams. And save money. Don't buy into trends. It's such a waste. Not planning my life well enough. Trying to start my own business. For all that is success I had in corporate, I deluded myself into thinking that my insights were critical for others to have in my industry. I was right and wrong. My abilities/insights were among the best, but others don't need to have them. In fact, they believed signing with my company for these insights/consulting highlighted the fact that they didn't have them. I kept relentlessly pushing forward with my business about 3 years too long. Never recovered financially. Keep this in mind when you hear about someone spouting about being their own boss. You're only hearing about a tiny percentage of successes. Failure can change your life forever. Consider carefully before you try. Not stepping out of my comfort zone when it came to being social. That also explains why I'm so shy when I'm in public and definitely shy around women and don't know how to talk to them. It bothers me a lot knowing I'll be 40 next year and still freeze up when it comes to women. Having low confidence and self-esteem issues my entire life really gets to me. I know people will laugh knowing how old I am feeling like this, but I'm just being honest. Being born in 1993, was I born let's say a decade later, the world would have been more receptive to my differences. We hardly had special education. It was not until my late teens there was some kind of recognition for my quirks. My parents were ill-equipped because the world was all be equipped. They mishandled things in my youth because they didn't know what to do. I think being born 10 to 15 years later my experience in that regard would have been different. That plus the fact I grew up in the online revolution. Being on Twitter ruined my teenhood. I don't regret. Everything, and I mean everything, has a purpose and reason. Wouldn't be where I am today without the trauma and tragedy, mixed in with joy and happiness. Take the lesson life hands you. Turn it into growth, instead of slumbering in past regret. Not joining military before college instead of after. Not learning to actually love and care for myself properly, still learning. The subtle effects of marijuana/alcohol use at a young age. Not leaving the US when I had the chance several years ago. Not been as a cavalier in my sex life during 20s and focused more on where I was headed endgame situation. Comparing myself to others and obsessing over what people think of me. Not starting investing in my 20s. If I had, I'd have retired at 58 not 63. Not taking care of my body and going to the doctor more. Not investing earlier, not taking care of my body better. My ex. Too many social media platforms. I've shed a few over the years, but it should have happened sooner. So distracting. Not spending more time in my youth figuring out what my strengths were and what I really wanted to do with my life. Now I'm 43 and still feel totally lost, except it's much harder to try new careers out. Not having kids in my teens/early 20s. Not banging more chicks. Not saving for retirement. Going without in order to give the younger generation what I didn't have as a youth so I can be now accused of having it better than the younger generations. Stay in a relationship that should have ended earlier. Settling for the wrong person. Not traveling more. Not tackling my social anxiety sooner. At first, in high school, thinking it would pass. Like a family is just handed to you in your 30s. Then in my 20s just accepting it. Didn't start addressing it till my mid-30s. Currently in my 40s dealing with a relapse that happened during the lockdowns. Not getting fit in my 20s. Your early 20s have the most pure physical potential, but honestly that's not why. I didn't get super fit until 30 and it left me with some minor loose skin. Not the worst at all, but enough for me to be going to Mexico in about 6 months to get part of it removed. I always tell young people to get fit and stay fit because it'll cost tens of thousands if they don't want loose skin as they age.
Ah.
Mate, it's always cheese.
Yeah.
Tastes great, but terrible for the digestion. Not putting my own life and career first, and instead putting my exes first. Staying in bad relationships. Thinking I was ugly when I was young. Beautiful and skinny. I'm 32 FBTW. I'm 34 and just this year I feel like I started living. I don't have a lot of friends and it always kept me from doing things. Just this year I started doing stuff alone, from eating at a restaurant to clubbing and city trips, and I really regret that I didn't do that earlier. I met a lot of people doing that in just a few months. I feel like if I had started doing that earlier, my life right now could be different. Your health is the most important thing in your world, so look after yourself. Your number of friends will dwindle, but you will just be left with those that you like best. Spend time with your family. Generally, they love you more than anyone else ever will. Spending most my 20s in long-term relationships. I focused so much on boys and men and trying to find love. If I could go back, I'd just focus on myself and have fun. I don't regret it, but I do hold my younger self and give her so much grace. Not having gone to university was not by choice due to a series of factors that did not allow me to do so.